Hello, I'm Natalie Lindo and welcome to a Business Line special brought to you from the Dubai Annual Investment Meeting 2022. The AIM Congress is an initiative of the UAE Ministry of Economy to provide a framework for global exchange on international investment policies and growth. The platform aspires to ignite positive transformation by creating investment opportunities.
The 11th edition of AIM was opened by the UAE Ministry of Economy.
It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the Annual Investment Meeting 2022, a framework specifically created by the UAE Ministry of Economy to promote global exchange on the key principles underpinning investment movements and trends to drive smart and inclusive global growth.
This year's theme is on investments in sustainable innovation for a thriving future. Organisers said this translates into foreign direct investment, portfolio investment, SMEs and startups, and the future of cities.
We bring countries to promote their foreign direct investment and promote their entrepreneurs. And that's what AIM it is. It is the location where basically governments meet investors, entrepreneur meets investor, venture capitals, and it's been growing since then.
Over 174 countries took part in a three-day event held at the Dubai Exhibition Centre at Expo 2020.
One of the messages that is also quite interesting is that sustainability is no longer a cost to business. It is actually a fantastic business opportunity. So completely new asset class and something that everybody should be looking into. So we know the region well, we want to get to know it better, and we want to support this great flow of investments towards other countries of operations where we work.
As well as focusing on attracting new investments, AIM set an agenda for the year ahead to look towards developing youth entrepreneurship and more future cities.
AIM is a great platform for us to interact with sovereigns and interact with corporates around the development of sustainable and future cities, and it gives us a chance to showcase all our achievements in the Dubai Master Plan.
Organisers have revealed that during the event, businesses have expressed their bullishness on the further acquisition and adoption of newer technologies to help power operations moving forward.
Next, the UAE is home to thousands of Irish expatriates, and trade between the two countries is increasing. Exports from Ireland to the UAE grew 12% in 2020, but now as Ireland has reopened, they hope to see a return of tourists from the region. I spoke to the CEO of Tourism Ireland, Niall Gibbons, and started by asking him why the relationship between the two nations is so special.
It does stretch back decades. There are some really big Irish characters that came over here in the 1970s. Colin McLaughlin, Dubai Duty Free, Gerald Lawless, Jumeirah Group. And to this day, they are still coming back and forward. And there's a large Irish community here now. And really, over a decade ago, we said it's time to establish a Tourism Ireland presence here. So we established an operation here in Dubai, and it's been fantastic because the connectivity now has come in with Emirates, with Etihad, and we're seeing a large number of people from this region visit Ireland. And from a tourism perspective, it's all good.
And tell us why you think there have been so many successful businesses here. Like you've mentioned, some of the big hitters in business and industry are from Ireland. Why do you think they've come on to be so successful in this part of the world?
I think like many people operating in Irish business, we have an easy way of doing things. We connect well with people around the globe. We have a large Irish diaspora, 70 million people around the globe who knit in well with other communities. I think the capacity to get on well with people is an essential part for doing business. People can build trust, build relationships, and I think you knit into the community very well, and that's a successful formula for us.
And you've mentioned there's easy access now in terms of air travel. Why are those ties between Ireland and the UAE so important? Obviously, you work in the tourism industry and you want people to visit.
Well, for us, it's about market diversification. The Irish tourism industry decades ago was very dependent on Britain. So we diversified into North America, into mainland Europe, and this now is the next step in the journey. It's an important part of the world from the UAE perspective, but also from a connection perspective. And Emirates connected with over 200 destinations around the world, and Etihad well connected too, gives us a great gateway from here, but also into other markets like India, China, Australia, New Zealand. And obviously COVID has come along and has a big impact on the industry, but now it's about getting back to tourism.
Finally, as the annual investment meeting addresses sustainability and innovation challenges at government level, some individuals are seeking solutions themselves. In Australia, most people rely on local governments and private companies to access water and electricity, but some are turning to off-grid options in the hope to become self-sufficient.
This may look like most other homes on this street, but it actually has a hidden feature. Buried tanks that collect and filter rainwater for reuse.
About 25 years ago, I went off-grid for two reasons. One, childish. I was told you couldn't do that. And so like a child, I wanted to do it. And secondly, I have this gut instinct that we need to show as much love as we can to Earth.
Access to clean water and electricity is taken for granted in the developed world. But with rising concerns of environmental issues, people want to find a solution to save natural resources and lower their energy consumption.
Recycling water is becoming very, very important at the moment because a scarcity of clean water in certain areas, climate change affects the water supplies, and therefore we will be at a point where we need clean and a sustained flow of water for an increased population in this planet.
The collected rain goes through filters in pipes and into tanks. Then, when it's needed by the home, it's sterilised by an ultraviolet lamp to kill viruses and pathogens.
What Michael Mobbs has demonstrated is that it is possible to reuse water with current technologies.
In 1996, he installed 18 solar panels on his roof, later adding 12 panels, bringing the total power capacity to 3.5 kilowatts. In 2015, Michael Mobbs took a step further and disconnected his house from the electricity grid. Going off-grid makes sense environmentally, but it may not work from a financial point of view.
If you compare the two solutions, so everybody being self-sufficient versus everybody having maybe rooftop solar on the roof, maybe a battery in the garage, while still being connecting to the main grid for the sake of reliability, which option is cheaper? And it's quite obvious that still using the main grid in Sydney and other big cities, other populated areas, is still cheaper.
For Verbiage, the future of electricity does lie in renewables, but it will mean changing the way we consume and pay for it.
That's all we have time for in this edition of Business Line, but be sure to tune in again next time for a roundup of the biggest business and investment stories from around the globe. I'll see you then.